It is Wednesday night, and we are back live after lots of travel for the basketball team. But it is, man, it's been quite a 13-day stretch. Maybe that's too many. 11, 12-day stretch here for the team. We'll get into that. First, wanted to ask Jason. Jason, since I got you on the call every week, I always just bring all my real estate questions to you. And this one is one that came up this week for me. That is closing costs. So every deal, recently bought a house for me about a year ago. And what really made the deal sweet for me was closing costs. And whenever I tried to explain that to my friends, they were like, "What do you mean? Like, don't you pay closing costs? Aren't that? Can't you just put that into your loan?" What are closing costs, and who typically pays them? Buyer, seller? Is it negotiable? Negotiable? Tell me about closing costs for a minute.
Yeah, hey guys, good to see you all tonight. Yeah, closing costs is a major part of the transaction. Just a quick 101 overview here. As you get started with an offer, the sellers are going to look at two things coming in with that offer. They're going to look at, first of all, the sale price, and secondly, they're going to look at closing costs. And closing costs, in short, are the costs that the lender is passing on to the buyer in order for them to do all the things that they need to do, back shop work as far as title search and just the different things that the lender has. So that's kind of what the closing costs are. To your point, Chad, definitely depends on the market a little bit, but closing costs are highly negotiable. But most importantly, who pays the closing cost obviously determines for a seller what they're walking away with and what their bottom line is. So basically, it becomes a math equation. So closing costs are an incredibly important part in the seller's market right now, where there's multiple offers on houses. As a prospective buyer, you've got to be in a position to maybe assume those closing costs yourself. Every lender does it a little bit different, so not just the best rate out there necessarily. You also want to know, as you're talking to a lender, hey, can you give me an estimate on the closing cost for this particular property? And it is based on sale price, but super important part of negotiations these days. A lot of times deals will get made or broken based on how those closing costs come about, especially if you're in a multiple offer type of situation. So love to talk with folks more about that, but incredibly important these days in a competitive market.
Man, that's good stuff. I have another question for you, but I'll save it for next week, and it's around those closing costs. Right now, we're going to bring in the main man here, Kyle. Dude, first of all, let me just say that you have had an incredible run here. Been a Sea of Reds Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row, and just playing unbelievable. Finally, scoring some points. You do a lot more. So that's my kind of my question is you've been scoring a lot more recently, but I feel like what you do for the team is so much more than scoring. McKay says that every press conference he gets a chance, talks about your leadership and what you bring to the team. But I took my mom and my dad to the game last night, and my mom, her first comment in the first 2 minutes was, "Hey, who's number 22 and what year is he?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Kyle. He's a junior." And she said, "Man, he doesn't stop talking to those guys out there. Is he like, a coach or something? He's going to be a good coach when he gets older, I think," is what she said. And I was like, "Yeah, mom." I was like, "That's kind of what he does, and that's his role in this team." So to me, that showed like, okay, my mom, she doesn't watch a lot of basketball, but to you, how important is that? Like, so you have your box score stuff, you have your stats, which you've been doing incredible recently, but how do you categorize that? Do you come in and say, okay, I had a good game, communicating with my teammates, hyping people up, staying positive, calling the good plays? Do you say, okay, I had a good game doing that, or hey, man, I really was in a funk out there and really didn't get to be the encourager that I'd like to be, or the leader that I'd like to be? Tell me a little bit about how you rate yourself on that portion of your game.
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned is really fair, especially in my game. Just trying to connect us and lead us in different ways, and making sure guys like D, Shy, Keeks, and some of our other guys are getting great looks, and that we're flowing offensively and connected on defense and hard to play against. So I definitely think I take pride in that, especially just as a whole team. I feel that I can influence us and impact us, and connectedness and how well we're locked in. So I think that's definitely a big part, for sure. And the box score stuff kind of takes care of itself.
Well, Jason, it looks like he's dropped. Might have had a bad connection or something. But I heard his question earlier, and he wanted to ask you about your lip, and just it looks like it's a little busted there. We saw a
Yep.
little last night. just the physicalness of the game in general. I know you said in your press conference that's just basketball. That just happens. But man, you
100%.
guys have really been on the road. You've been putting a toll on your body, a lot of physical games, especially with the COVID pause we had, kind of cramming all these games in together. Just talk about like, what are you doing? One, is it a physical toll? Do you wake up in the morning just like, oh, I'm sore? And then what are you doing like specifically to take care of your body? Is it like sauna time? Is it extra stretching? Is it eating? But like, what are you doing to like, okay, we're in the middle of just the hardest, most physical competition we'll have all year with the number of games and days. What are you doing specifically to kind of prepare for that?
Yeah, I think 100% Coach McKay said it a few times to us as a team. Like, this is as pro schedule as it gets between the games on the road, the travel, the competition, the physicality, stuff like that. I think he has a lot of trust in Shrine and Coach Hand and how they prepare us off the court, just making sure our bodies are right, so that we can prepare and practice and play like we want to. And then Coach does an awesome job of finding that balance of pressing the gas and practice when we need it and making sure we're still tuned up for games, especially when you have 6 games in 13 days like we did. I think it's a combination of everybody. We have to make sure we're locked in on our film work, and some of those intangible stuff when you don't get a practice for an hour and a half and have multiple days to prep. So I think it's kind of a combination.
Yeah, Jason, I just asked him about the physicalness in his lip and everything. I stole that question from you, but Jason, I'm going to ask you this question. I know this is supposed to be interviewing Kyle, but what would your body be telling you if you played 6 games in 13 days right now? What would your preparation be like?
Well, I guarantee you there'd be a difference between my 24-year-old body and my 40 bump-year-old body. But, just knowing a little bit of the back shop here between, and I caught part of Kyle's deal there, and I apologize. I'm much better at real estate than I am technology, clearly. That prep work and off the court stuff is just so important. And when you've got incredible experience between athletic trainer with Schreiner and Henry Barrera, strength coach, and certainly Coach McKay and the coaching staff, to know when to go hard and when to let up. You just got to do that. And I think Coach actually alluded to that in the press conference post game, talking about almost an NBA schedule right now with the
Yep.
with the travel and the amount of games and stuff. It's a critical piece because you've got to go hard, you've got to get the wins, but at the same time you've got to be smart and dial it up and dial it down when you need to, knowing that this is the hardest part of
100%.
the
Yeah.
season.
So, Kyle, I want to ask a little bit about your numbers and the box score portion. We talked a little bit about your leadership and how that kind of stuff stays consistent, and it's a big part of what you do. The box score stuff, I mean, is the basket looking bigger? Are you feeling more confident, or is this just, hey, I put in the work. This is what I do every night. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. And you're just having a hot stretch right now, or is this something that you kind of expected all year long and just didn't get off to the start you wanted, but you're playing, to a level where you thought, hey man, if I'm open, I'm going to shoot it. And last night it looked like to me that you had a lot of confidence and were willing to shoot even with guys in your face or a little deeper or what have you. Is that something that's kind of growing as the season goes on, or has it just been kind of the same mentality all the way through?
Yeah, no, I think definitely. You mentioned like the start of the season, I probably wasn't shooting the ball as well as I wanted to, or impacting the game in that way. But I have great teammates around me, great coaches around me, and I knew that if I stayed consistent in my work and keep building the trust of those guys every day, that eventually shots would come and fall. And it's been great, just being able to hit a few shots to help take the pressure off D and Keegs and some of those other guys that consistently score for us. And last night was Darius just giving me a lot of great looks, Shy setting some really good screens, and Keegs attracts so much attention off the ball, and a bunch of guys were serving just for me to even be able to get those shots. So then just try to knock them down when you're open, and when you hit a few in a row, your confidence builds for sure. So I think that was kind of a
So
combination of everything.
I've got a follow up to that real quick, and that is, it felt like in the post game and everything, it was like, man, Kyle is really just having a great game. Darius went for 29 and have what, 10 assists or something like that,
Yeah,
something
eight
crazy.
rebounds,
Yeah,
eight
8
big rebounds.
rebounds.
Yeah.
He's two rebounds shy of a triple double with 29 points. And is that the quietest 29 points? I mean, is he just does that, right? Like that's just what he's doing. Nobody's talking about it, but he had 29, 10 and 8 and it's just like, hey, Kyle, man, wow, you're really coming on, you're really having a good game. So, like, how does Darius go so under the radar, in your opinion, just with what he's doing out there? I mean, it is incredible. If anybody else in any other season had 29, 10, and 8 in a conference game, the internet would be blowing up about it. But last night,
Wow.
it's all like, oh, that's just Darius. Is
I
that
yeah, I think
amazing to be around?
yeah, I think that kind of speaks to like the level of his greatness and the kind of the level of expectation like everybody's set for him. Like that's just another night at the office, but at the same time, like I don't think he feels that pressure that he needs to get 30, 10, and 8 for us to win or whatever. But and he does it the right way. He's so humble and like he hits one of the most amazing shots you'll ever see, and then just jogs into halftime. You know what I mean? Like it's just his nature to be humble and also get buckets. So it's pretty neat to play with, for sure. And I mean, I wasn't trying to take the spotlight from him at all yesterday, by no means, but because he had a great game. So
Yeah, Kyle, it was such a good balance last night overall. Just you guys just stepping up the typical again team effort, which is always so fun to watch. We've talked about that quite a bit, but I'm going to go back to that post game interview that I talked about. I got a chance to hear that on the radio between you and Coach and Darius, and I told you guys could have taken that on the road, man. That was just hilarious. Some of the comments here and there and whatever else. But one of the things Coach said is he talked about how the bench and the lineup and has kind of morphed a little bit here in the last couple of weeks. What have you guys seen? How has rotations changed? Not to get you to speak for Coach, but what kind of was he alluding to for those of us that obviously don't know it obviously as well as you do?
yeah, I think Coach does a really good job of like empowering us, and you kind of build up trust with Coach in practice. So that starts all the way back in June when we start hitting it with summer ball and stuff like that, and you build up kind of like an equity or deposits as we call them every day. So I think on any given night, we feel we have 14 guys that could get in there and play and contribute. And I think he was just kind of alluding to probably just matchups. Some nights, like I know Blake did a heck of a job for us yesterday. I don't know how many minutes he played, but he was big on the boards and being able to guard Sajala and give him a different look than I can or anybody else on our team can. And Isaiah Warfield has been playing amazing, really all season for us, and he's been a key part of that. And Peeves always does his thing, and we have so many other guys. JV, I could go down the list. JV does unbelievable non-box score stuff for us every night, and then he's just a beast. So I think that's probably what he's alluding to, and he trusts. We have a lot of guys that we can put trust into to put in the game at any moment. So
So you just got back from a long road trip in Kentucky, and you're headed to Florida here, I guess tomorrow or the next day. My question is about Kentucky. I saw some pictures of you with some of your high school teammates. I know that you were, the captions were. I got to be careful because I'm friends with the guys who write those captions, but they were a little cheesy. Going to be with the mayor of Kentucky and all that. It was kind of cool though. But with you being back in Kentucky and seeing all those people, how cool is it to play Bellarmine, Eastern Kentucky? And then in the future we have Western Kentucky, and those arenas. Let me tell you, the Freedom Hall and then Eastern Kentucky's arena with that huge just wall and the wooden
yeah,
ceiling. It looked amazing. What is two-part question? What does basketball mean in the state of Kentucky? Obviously, with the Wildcats, and then also, what did it mean for you to kind of make that little homecoming trip? And did that kind of maybe spark some of your spark? Did you have a little bit of extra in you those few nights because your buddies from high school are up there in the stands watching you or whatever?
no, 100%. I think basketball in Kentucky, like you grow up, and it's kind of like everything in a sense. Like when Kentucky basketball's on, or when there's good high school basketball on, like everybody's there. Like that's the event to go to, and that's what people are talking about the next day. So I think it means a heck of a lot to people in the community, and it's pretty unique. And then, like you said, Freedom Hall, it's a super special atmosphere. So much history there. And then Alumni Coliseum, where we played at EKU, was rocking that night, especially when they made a few runs there and turned us over some. So it was definitely special to play back home, and I forget, we had probably 50 plus people easily at EKU between all my family and teammates and friends and stuff like that. So that was pretty neat. And old coaches, and so I think it's always special when you get to play at home, and to play in the Bluegrass State's always a pleasure for sure.
Jason, you look frozen. I don't know if you are or not. So, Kyle, we'll wrap this up here with just one final thing: is headed into finale of the season here in regular season. Um, what is your mindset with this team in terms of, there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the season with a Liberty Arena. We had a lot of new faces on the team contributing. There was a lot of hype. Then you go through this just long, I would just consider it just like, just the grind of the season. You're heading into the final stretch here. Tell me, inside the locker room, inside of your head and the rest of the team, what is that hype level like right now? Just, are you guys still as motivated as ever to get accomplish your goals, or is it kind of like, all right, we got to dig deep right now because it's kind of we're in the middle of it?
100%. I think one of the most like things I've really enjoyed about for playing with coach is like we always try to peak like at this time of the year, like physically, athletically as a team, connectedness wise, and like I feel like this team's like on trend to do that as well. And I think we're gonna take it day by day, like we always have. Like we'll go into prep tomorrow, have a great practice, prep Friday, and just focus on that game Saturday one at a time. I don't even know how many games we have left, honestly, in the regular season. But just focus on this next game, this next practice, and then just try to get better each and every day.
Hey man, I love that. And you're right. I've been following McKay for a long time, and these teams just seem to get better and better as the season goes on, and he has mastered that. So, Kyle, it's so much fun to watch you guys play. I don't know, Paul Nazigan, he was on a podcast earlier this week and basically said the success means a lot to us, and we end this show every time this way, but it's so important to me. But Paul said the success is really important to all the fans and alumni who support this program, but in the manner in which you guys are doing it is how Paul
So
phrased it, and how you guys represent us, how you represent the Lord, how you represent Liberty, how you represent your coaches and yourself. I mean, it is unbelievable. It's so cool to see.
thank you,
We're
man.
really proud of you, man. And uh, if you get a fourth straight, we'll be excited. But the manner in which you guys are doing this is the most
Appreciate it.
astonishing thing, and we love that, man. So keep it up. You
Appreciate it.
guys are
Yes,
amazing,
sir.
and love cheering you guys on. So Kyle, I appreciate it, and we will
Appreciate it.
see you. I guess it'll be a while. When do you guys come back home? Do you remember? When's your next home
Uh,
game? I
I,
guess you
I
got.
think we leave Friday, and then I know we got Saturday, Tuesday games, so we'll probably get back Wednesday or so.
Yeah, and then
So
you'll have a home game next week at some point. So, all right,
hmm
Kyle, take it easy, man, and we'll catch you next
appreciate it,
time.
man. Thank you. Appreciate it.